Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for DOGWIFHAT. And full disclosure, I took majority of the position off the table today. I'll show you down on the micro why I did that. And first of all, I think we're getting close to the end of this third wave. We're getting a lot of overlap at the moment on this final wave. I'll show you that as well. It's a difficult count, but currently on the 5-wave impulse, we are on a fifth in my point of view. Now, it doesn't mean we can't continue on and come to this blue target at the 1.618. I just think based on where we are on this impulse that it's more likely we're going to pivot earlier than that than push that high. That's just my point of view. You make your own decision. And I'm okay with if it takes off with the result either way. Now, when we pass the 1.618 that we did, I then throw on the 1.786 because when we get a little bit of blowover, that's kind of the area we get. So my expectation at the moment is within the next little bit, maybe even around $2, we get a fourth wave pullback. It's lining up with my time guidelines, as you see. Usually the 1.618 for the third, length of wave 1 off the 2. Just a guideline, not a rule, but we have a couple days left on that, 2 days, so we can get a little more movement to the upside in my current count. Now, I'm not saying, not giving any advice. I'm not saying get out of the trade or anything like that because I don't want to make those sort of decisions for you because if it takes off, you'd be mad at me, right? But everybody's situation is different. Everyone's perspective is different. But yeah, I took some off the table and I'll show you why I did that on the 15-minute. Now, everyone that is new to Elliott Wave, you shouldn't see divergence here on this third wave on the daily. You see it between the third and the fifth. There is divergence on the smaller time frames currently, and you have to find out which wave which time frame your wave is currently working on to have RSI actually properly work for you. A lot of people don't use RSI properly. Now I'll show you on the 15-minute why I decided to get out. And I have made a couple adjustments here to the count based on the action overnight. So still have this 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for our third. I did adjust my fourth wave though from here, which was the WXY, to back one pivot because I believe we're making a diagonal here. It lines up with the time guideline I have where wave 2 is equal-ish to wave 4 in time. Looks correct. I then put on a pitchfork. This seems to be the one working the best for it. Off this fourth pivot, off the 1 and 2. Now this is a diagonal. There are some issues with it, but it works better in my point of view as a diagonal than an impulse. So if you put your Y wave here, like I had originally labeled, this would be a 1, most likely a flat 2, kind of short 3, 4, and a kind of long 5th. You can see they're kind of like equal-ish in length, right? So even if that is the case, that's where you'd get that super impulsive move because that would be a 1, 2, right? And you'd expect at least a little pullback, but we'd take off in that situation. So I don't think that's happening, but that's just my perspective. And if I miss out on it, I miss out on it, and I'm okay with that. I think this is a diagonal where we started here. We have 3 waves. There are issues with this. It's not perfect. We have a B, C, flat in between, and we have an A. We either topped over here, which I don't think we did, or we have a flat, or we're in the middle of a correction where we get one more move down, and then we get our C wave up, and that completes our diagonal. You can see I have a trend line from our wave 1 off our 3 up in this area, which we could just go to now, and then look for our larger correction to the downside. So either this thing's really going to take off in a crazy extended fifth wave, or we're going to get a correction. You decide what you think is happening. So I pulled from the beginning of wave 1 through 3 off this new 4, and target of the 1-to-1 extension of that for a fifth is 173, which we already passed. We can pull by that a little bit. Off our wave 1 and 2 for our third wave, we came between the 1.382 and the 1.618, so no problems getting an extended fifth here. And target for that, we're pretty much already there between the 200 and the 2.382. Also pulled a fib of our third wave off our fourth, because I target between the 618 and the 786 extension for that for a fifth and a diagonal. And that is between 168 and 188. So you can see we're at a lot of target areas. So that makes me a little bit uncomfortable holding on to a larger position than normal for me. So I'll explain why I got out of this trade down in this area, but I fully expect to get one more move to the upside here. This is our 1.618, that 150 target I explained to you. That's where I was expecting a little bit of a pivot. I think we just got a little bit of a blowover, a little bit of FOMO. So I'll go down to the 3-minute and show you why I got out. Remember, this was the A I was anticipating, B, and C of our fifth wave. And we had hit this 0.618, so I was like, okay, this is getting tight. And the reason I bailed out, and you can use this for your own trading methods, is I saw 5 waves down from a high. So when I see 5 waves down from a high, I say, is it starting a trend or ending a correction, right? So it can be where we get an A, B, C as a flat, and then we get our final 5 waves up here as an A, B, C to those targets I just mentioned previously. Or 5 waves down can be the start of a correction to the downside, right? I think we get one more move to the upside and then correct. Reason being, after these 5 waves down, we've had a move past the 0.618 retracement already, which is bullish. Probability shift, we're getting one more move to the upside. You can see it looks like we have potential 5 waves up. So I might get here just an A, B, C, complete. Or this would be something complex. We just made a unprobable high wave 2, and we collapse over, right? We kind of come down, come down, come down, come down, come down, come up, and then just collapse. So full transparency, I got out here right around 165 at that point, 618, between the 50 and the 618 of that retracement. I hope you understand why I saw these 5 waves down, and I was like, this is not worth taking this risk just for this little bit more upside. Full disclosure though, it was a pretty nice trade. That's why, partially why I got out. It was a very large position size, and even this move down here would have put a lot back if this turned into like a WXY, so it wasn't worth the risk for me with a potential top in place. But full disclosure, I start with a 100 unit account, and I was up 50 units on that trade at that moment that I cashed out. So I didn't want to give back if this move happened, this became a larger correction. I would have given back 20 units or 20%, right? So I wasn't going to do that. But okay, so I'm expecting either this is a flat and we get 5 waves up here, because this would create an A, B, C to the upside. Between that 168 and 188, you'd want at least a 618 here. So probably even potentially a little bit higher. But this is the tough count because this could also be turn into a diagonal itself, where this is a flat here. You get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So it's hard to know at the moment what's going to happen. But everything says to me that we need a larger correction very soon. And this is a very tough count. If we're going to reach standard targets, I would imagine this ends up making some sort of ending diagonal in the 5th here. All right, guys, so that's what's going on here. I will pay attention to this. I will continue to update this, even though I am pretty much fully out at the moment. Just have a little bit. Keep an eye at those targets, 188, 168. Our 200% of our larger wave 1 off the 2 is at 221. We're already past the 1.618. I can throw on that 786 I mentioned to you earlier. You can see we're right in that zone. So to me, it is not, to me personally, it's not worth hanging on. And if this ended up being a 5th wave top as an ABC, we just slowly drag down here and eventually collapse. It would be more of a slow fall. I'm sure you've seen these before. Grind up and then whoop, just collapse in that spike. So we'll see what happens, and I'll make sure to update this. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.